Here we are, 8 o'clock. Morning. Now let's see if I can. We've got a different camera setup this morning. I mean, a different setup, not a different camera. It looks a bit wobbly, just hang on a sec. It is a bit wobbly. As soon as I let go, it should be alright. Just see how far we can get here with this focus. The reason it's wobbling, not sure if you can see it. Let me move this out of the way for. Oops. The reason it's wobbling is because today, I'm not sure if you can see this. There's a white, this is an arm, it's a light stand, that has a desk lamp that pulls a lamp over your desk. And this is the camera, it's difficult to see. The camera is attached to this arm and it's put the camera right in front of the wood, as close as we can go. But the arm is shaky. If I bang the desk here, the arm shakes a bit. I can't have everything perfect here. And of course, today is hair carving. We're going to carve the hair. I think that's about as close as I can get the camera to go. And I just sharpened up. I spent the last couple of minutes before we came on stream sharpening up. Let's get some light on the knife here. Here's the back side. You can see it flat. You can see that little bevel. See it on the edge there? It's a tiny bevel on the back side of the knife. The main bevel is, of course, on the front. And this tiny bevel on the back just takes the sharpest edge off the knife so that it doesn't break when I get into it. Do I have my camellia oil? Yes. Okay, I've got to talk and do this, and I've got to be a bit concentrated on this. I'm not quite sure. We'll just get started. And again, people ask me to do this wonderful hair carving video up on YouTube, but every time I do this, I've got to sit here and explain and do this. Anyway, this will be taped anyway, so I'll try and excerpt from this later to put onto YouTube. We'll see. All right, step one. A bit of oil onto the block here. You can see a bit of fuzziness here on the Gampi paper. What this is, you saw me do the peel on this some weeks ago. And because I saved this for last, there's a benefit and a demerit for this. As I've carved everything else on this block, my hand has rubbed across the block, rubbed back and forth, rubbed here and there. And it's feathered up the paper. Just the rubbing across the Gampi feathers it up. So it gets a bit invisible. Anyway. This morning we're into this session here. So what I'm going to do is, you can see the angle of the hairs change here, zone A and zone B. So I'm going to first isolate this. I'm going to cut back. I'm not on the hair here. I'm cutting away from the hair. Just isolate a line. This group can stay by itself. Then we talked about the 5-cut system. And here we go. The first cut. I can see the line here where the hairs are going to theoretically end. It's really invisible and we're not sure exactly where it is. But the first step is to come about 1 millimeter or so outside of that into the area where there will definitely be no carving. And we will cut a small line into the wood outside the area where the hairs will appear. This is cut number 1 of the 5 cuts that are necessary to do this job. And we cut it, but we don't take away the wood because we're going to need it to support the knife. You might have just seen that a minute ago when I tried to cut here. I couldn't just run my knife straight out off the end. The tip of the knife will break if I do that. So we need wood that will support the knife as I'm doing cut number 3. This was cut number 1. Now cut number 2 is going to be one side of all of the hairs. Cut number 3 will be the other side of all of the hairs. Cut number 4 will be a tapering cut on one side of all the hairs. And cut number 5 will be a tapering cut on the other side of all the hairs. And that will give us a row of hair that tapers in from left and right, and each hair tapers down from top to bottom. We'll explain it as we go. Anyway, cut number 1. Now, Ito-san, the old guy who showed me how to do this, he did it all from one position. He never moved his block. He just sat here and went cut number 1, blah, 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 blah. Flipped his knife over, cut number 2, blah, 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 blah. But when I saw him do that, he was working on quite a larger block. The hairs were physically much larger, and you could see where to cut with each one. Now this is a different scale. This has really gone down quite a lot different from what I saw him do that. And I've learned that for better accuracy, I'm going to make the first cut the other way round, starting at the tip of the hair and going up to the base. And I found that for me, this gives more accuracy and makes a smoother, straighter cut. I'm going to leave this little group for the end. I'm just going to start here at the point where we have access to the outside. So this is cut number 2 of the 5 cuts. Quite deep, not deep, but whatever. And then tapering out, up to the end, and the knife now just sliding up into the air. And that last part of it probably won't actually get cut, it's just a scratch. And here we go, we're going to work our way down the line. And there's no way I can put the knife too deeply in the wood here, or it will pop these things off, of course. You guys okay out here? Everybody's going quiet. Good. Good, good, good. I can hear the shutter out there rattling. It's leftover wind as the typhoon crossed over central Japan during the night. It's just leaving now, so it didn't hit us directly. A lot of garbage cans and stuff were tossed around last night. We put the garbage out last night in bags, and I had to go and retrieve it this morning. Somebody don't roll down the street. I might be a bit fat. If you see, they've all got a very slight curve to them. It's just the slightest curve. I think back to when I was living in Canada before I had a chance to come to Japan and work on this and meet different craftsmen and stuff. To be able to have a chance to see work like this being done, let alone at this resolution, God, I would have killed for this. I'm also really happy to have these tools, this lens, because without this tool now I'd be finished. I wouldn't be able to do this anymore. I think in the old days, in any given workshop, people didn't generally work by themselves. There was a workshop. Different carvers would be together. Experienced guys, beginners, medium. Any given job would, of course, have gone to the people most capable of doing it. So the new guys in the workshop wouldn't be able to do this, but the older guys, the ones whose eyes were gone, also wouldn't. So there must have been a middle-aged group who were highly skilled and before they'd lost their eyesight. And thanks to this technology, I'm able to push the number of years I'm able to do this. Too deeply there, Dave. Be careful. When I did the key block for this print, the first layer of hair had a bit more freedom because the hairs were drawn there, but I could cut each one. If one was a bit misplaced to the left or right, or one was a bit fatter or thinner, it wouldn't make any difference. But this block now, remember, this is a double hair block. These hairs are going to overlay right on top of the other hairs on the key block. So I have no flexibility anymore. I'm supposed to carve these ones exactly in the position they are. We will see at the test printing time how successful that's been. But a bit too thin on that one. too close together, these end ones. What's going on here? We'll try it, but we might lose one. I don't know. Okay, here we go. That's cut number 1 and cut number 2 of this system. I'm going to turn the block around. Mic volume low. I think it's there, just I'm not talking. John, Dave, we can hardly hear you. The mic is in its normal place right there. Tap, tap the mic. Tap, tap, tap the mic. Mic volume is at its normal volume. Maybe I'm speaking more quietly. I don't know. Thank you for debarking my great wave yesterday. Okay, let me continue, please, here. I want to get the light so I can see the shadow of the one I just carved. Okay. Right, here we go. This is now slice number 3, which will pull out most of the triangles. It won't pull them all out in one go, I think, but let's see what happens here. We're now coming down the other side of the hair, and off and in, and there comes our first triangle. You can see now, hairs are coming to life. Now they're basically at this point that each hair is now a triangle that starts at its base and comes out down towards the tip. Now if I did each one absolutely perfectly, which won't happen, the points would meet at that line that I carved. So we would have a bunch of long, long, long fat triangles, and all the hairs would end at the same place if we printed it. We'll take care of that in the next step. Right now, let me just keep quiet here and get these things done. The line, the first cut line is here. You can't see it now because this is breaking off bit by bit. So actually these here, that's the area right there. That's where the hairs end. That was too thick. Take care of it the next stage. can't believe it's been a year since I did this, on the key block. It was I think it was September, I don't know. I call myself a carver, you only do this once a year. It's crazy. That one's also too thick. Back when I was doing the poet series, the 100 series of poets, they all had hair. Not quite as detailed as this one, not quite as small as this one, but they all had hair. And because I was enlarging them from their original size, which was B5 or so, I enlarged them to A3. The hairs became much bigger. And it was only partway through the series, maybe in the 4th year or 5th year, that I started redrawing the hair for each one. So I'm cutting it at sort of the original scale, but because my prints were enlarged, so where there was 20 hairs before, I'd carve 50 or 60 or something like that. And that work I used to save for the evenings. I was living with my family, my kids, whatever. There was stuff going on all day, doing translation, whatever, other jobs. But this particular job, the hair carving, I used to save for the evenings. Kids gone to bed, quiet. Because back then I was still sort of in the mood that when you get to the difficult parts of the print, you treat them as though they were difficult. You get to this and you hold your breath and now I'm going to cut a hair and you did that. And it was a crazy way to do things. Just I didn't know, but it was a crazy way to do things. You hold your breath and try and carve, and it just makes your body bump more, and the thing gets more stressed. And, So now the best way to do this, you don't think of here's an easy part, here's a difficult part. You just sit down and carve. And I have to be careful, of course. I'm trying to be reasonably careful and quiet today and not too, disturbed. I wouldn't try this in the middle of the afternoon when 6,000 people are around. But I'm not holding my breath for each one of these. Oh my God, here we go. I'm going to cut a hair, hold my breath. You can't do good carving that way. It just doesn't work. Some kind of balance, I guess. Too much concentration is no good. Carelessness is no good. So just a normal mood. Just sit down peacefully and just go for it. So far, so good today. Seems all right. The other thing about this hair carving, the part that you can't control is the wood. When I chose this piece of wood, I chose a generally hard piece, but it's not actually all that rock hard. And there could be soft spots in here. There could be grain knots or something. So I could be carving one of these hairs and bang, off it splits. It's quite possible. I'm making my excuse in advance. This last group is the most difficult. This is where I start to hold my breath. I really can't see them. They've just basically blended together, If I stick the knife too far in, it'll break the neighboring hair, It's a bit too thin up at the root. I don't know about these last few. I don't know how they're going to turn out. That one's short. Okay, there we are. That's cut 1, that's cut 2, and cut 3 of that section. How's our comments going? Oh, look at this, look at this, look at this. My mother's here again today, is she? Hi. Cue the earthquake. Now the next step, I've done this different ways. I'm still of two minds as to what should happen next. We've got the original cut here. Let me just freshen it up because it's a bit invisible. This is the invisible cut here. The first cut that showed. This is way past where the hairs were supposed to be. Remember, we cut this about 1 millimeter past where the hairs were showing on the drawing. So all this wood is waste wood. also now the hairs are all too long. They're all extending nearly to that line. And that was the line which was, outside of the hair. So we're going to get rid of this zone now. Okay, now that looks like ukiyo-e hair. Each hair starts from nothing and comes out with its own flex and ends at basically nothing. A couple of them, like see that one? That one's way too fat. That's too fat. That's too fat. The rest of them are sort of similar sizes. So before we do the next step, let me just trim some of the ones that are too fat. I don't know if you can see it at your end. I don't know. Perhaps you can. I don't know. Is that the garbage man coming by? Did I hear? Yeah, there goes the truck. I think, yeah, there they are. No fun for them today because garbage is scattered all up and down the streets. I went to gather mine together in the morning, but some people haven't done that. So. Well, I think they're all close now. If we really, really microscopically looked at them, they'd all be different, thick and thin, thick and thin. But at a normal human scale, they're all about the same size. So, to recap, we had cut number 1, which was the defining line, and cut number 2, which was one side of each hair, and cut number 3, which was the other side of each hair. Now we're going to do cut number 4, and what that's going to be, it's difficult to describe in words. I'm going to come back down the length of each hair, and as I move down, I'm going to try and tip my knife over. I'm going to try and tip my knife over bit by bit by bit as I get towards the tip of the hair. And what that should do is it should bevel the hair slightly on that corner. And then when I do it again from the other side, tipping the knife slightly this way as I come down each hair, it'll leave the tip Can I draw it? I don't know how to do this, you know. At the moment we've got a triangle. Can you see that? We've got a triangle for each one. Yeah? I've exaggerated the shape. Each one's a triangle. It's flat on the top. It's wider and it gets thinner and it ends at the tip here and just falls off the tip. So this is a flat piece of wood. What I'm going to try and do now is bring the knife down each one. First I'll do this side. And as I'm coming along this line here, as along the hair itself, I'll try and tip the knife over, so it bevels this side from the top. And then I'll do it again on this side, tipping the knife over. So ideally each hair will then sort of, I'll try and draw this in 2 dimensions, each hair will round itself in a 3-dimensional way. So when you see it from the side view, instead of these lines being flat, 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 nothing, the top will go gradually down, 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 down. So it'll go down from the top at the same time as they get thinner. And that's the key to making ukiyo hairs disappear into nothing. Now the downside of doing it this way is this. As I'm going to try and do this, I'm going to come along each one. So I'm going to test. As I come along each one, and I tip the knife over bit by bit by bit by bit, what sometimes happens if I'm not careful is pop. At this point, the tip of the hair will break off. And you can't do it the other way, coming in from the tip. Obviously, because you know how far you're leaned over. So here we go. I'm going to give this a try. How many are going to pop off, I don't know. Hopefully not too many. Okay, there's our fourth cut. And they're partially beveled down from the top. They're in from the left-hand side, right-hand side, we're talking partially beveled. So now for the fifth one, the same thing. Just a second, let me check this string here. Oh, yo, 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 yo. I don't know, questions are not here. I can't see. I'm sorry, I can't. This last one actually, it's a little bit easier in one sense because I can turn this sideways and do this so the blade is towards me. But there's still the danger of pulling off the tip of the hairs. But because I'm left-handed, you know, it's easier to do it this way. Drop it down. Right, vertical, bit by bit, horizontal. Out she goes. I might have gone a bit too thin, not sure. Yeah, I think so. That one's too thin. It's going to look shorter than the neighbours once it's in the finished print. Oh, what can I say? I can't get them all mathematically even. Actually, it wouldn't look right if they were, you know, there has to be a certain amount of touch and difference in taste to them, you know. Oops. Way short, that one. Look at that. You can see it from where you are. Dave, concentrate. The wood's holding up pretty well. I don't think I've chipped the tip off any of these. Some hairs are shorter than others, for sure. I don't think I've actually broken any of it yet. There's another, I guess it's an important point I should make here too, right? The knife. This is slicing, not cutting. If I tip the knife up like this, then the knife is attacking the wood at too much of a sharp angle. But if I keep the knife down like this, we're just slicing. Much less risk of chipping off the tip. We're not cutting here so much as slicing. Nice one. I think the fifth one back is too fat still. I broke the last one. It's broken. Look at that. Just too fat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's too fat. What's going on? Cameron's hi. Hi. Much stuff blown around the street there from the wind. The garbage one just came.
There's not enough trash cans out there, are there? We always just put bags, no cans, right?
Yeah, next door's cans were blown around.
Yeah, there's...
Well, our bags were too. I had to go and get them.
Oh, no.
I'll cover this today. It's okay.
Okay.
I know we're doing the hair, so I
great.
want to basically keep quiet. I don't
Okay.
want to talk too much. So.
Makes sense. Wow. Cool. Okay. I'll get out of your hair.
Oh, also, paper. I forgot to take it out.
Okay, I'll go get it.
I guess Suicide and Nathan or something. Okay. So, thank you.
Yep, no problem. Great.
Right, what we've got now, I don't know, you really probably can't see it. Can I put it at some angle where you can maybe see it? Let's see. So I don't know if you can see. these things actually now slope downwards. I can feel it. They slope downwards into the area where there's nothing. So as much as is possible, they now taper in left to right. They taper in left to right, and they taper down into the nothing area. Now, there's no way I can see it. We're gonna, after test printing comes out, I'll be able to see there's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 5 is short, 6 is long, whatever. I can't do anything about the ones that are too short, but I can maybe, the ones that are next to them, I can take them a bit shorter. This zone here, where am I here? This zone right here looks like they might be a bit long compared to the ones right here. We'll see. It's best for me not to fool around with it too much at this point because I'm looking at it from straight ahead up, looking down. I can't really get a good view of the three-dimensional feel for these. So it'll be test printing first and then muck around with the adjustments. But yeah, that's how it works. That's ukiyo-e hair carving. At printing time, you know, people are going to ask about this. You know, we're going to put black, rich pigment all over this with some paste in it. We've got to make sure the pigment doesn't fill the big holes or these small holes. And of course, we're going to do it with the brush. You just need a very, very light touch with the brush. And the final strokes, of course, can't be this way or pigment gets blobbed in the hairs. The final strokes have to be this way. Also, perhaps even sometimes this way. Pull the pigment out of the base of the hair. It's just a normal part of the job. Okay, let's move on. What time is it? It's 9 o'clock. Let's go. And we move on to the next part. The next part's much, much more difficult because we're going to go around a corner. This was relatively easy. They were all a similar curve, They got shorter. This next part is now difficult. Let's have a look at it. And I think I'm going to split it into two groups because what we've got here is we've got a group that curve in one way. This is curving whatever, curving this way, and the peak of her forehead is here and the other hairs curve the other way around. So I'm just going to set the point where perhaps the largest and longest hair is there, and I'll start from there and work back around this way. No. First, I should clean up this corner first. Soka, soka, soka. Come here. Yeah, before I do that side, I've got to do this side. Getting ahead of myself there. I'm lucky here in the way it was drawn. These hairs didn't come down and all hit that one because it's really hard to cut hairs down to front to a single point. These are just shorter hairs. And where's their ending line? Somewhere here. We'll do the same thing. We'll make the ending cut somewhere there. And well, this will be arbitrary. And then we'll do the same thing. We just did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cuts. Excuse me. Bit of camellia wouldn't hurt. Okay. Now, where are we going to go? Hard to identify the point where the curve changes. Basswood impossible, on a boxwood of course. We use boxwood for this kind of work all the time. Basswood, the only experience I have was that my friend Matt Brown in America sent me some basswood blocks many years back. And for our use, they were impossible. It seems to work very well for what he does, his landscape prints. But for us it was impossible. It was a fibrous, it had hard and soft chunks in it, it worked like crazy. So the very small experience I have with basswood was for my kind of work, absolutely impossible. But it works for Matt very well. That's his wood of choice as far as I knew back then anyway. This is 15 years or so ago. I am going to sharpen it. It's getting a bit stiff here. Got to touch up the blade. I think we better zoom out, eh? Just to touch up. There's no major metal coming off here. Just put the edge back on. No heavy pressure here. Main goal, just keep the angle the same. Just simply put the edge back on. This is the medium stone. Very soft pressure on the stone. There's a slight burr on it now, if you can see it. There's a slight burr on the back, and that comes off now. Clean and sharp, good. And we'll finish off, touch up the finishing stuff. finishing stone is not a good condition. I've been careless and it's got some scratches in it. So it needs to be addressed down, but it'll do for this. Just polishing the bevel. Very light pressure. And the back side. And the last important step, lift it up, I don't know how many degrees, just how many degrees, in a couple of passes. This puts that little second bevel on the back. Okay, we're back to normal. And let's see if we can find our focus again. Is that where we want to be? Right. Talk. Haven't covered the chat, I'm sorry. The stones I'm using, it's a 400, a 1000, and then it's not marble. I mean, I think I said it behaves like marble, just in that it's so flat and hard. I don't know what it is. It's a sharpening stone. I don't know what the type of stone is. It's I don't know. Anyway, it's a finishing stone in Japanese. It's so smooth. You can't feel any grittiness on it at all. A Western one, whatever, 4,000, 6,000, 8,000 would be fine, I think. They're kind of too soft, I find. But okay, let's get back to it. Same procedure as before. We've done cut number 1, and I will now do cut number 2 along this row. There's a little tiny bit of burr still on the front. It'll disappear in a minute. Again, we're not cutting. If I don't put the angle up, the knife doesn't chop its way through. It slices. And then out. last one's going to be very dangerous here because it could pop off because there's no support on the back side. Last one in a row. If I put my knife in too deeply, it's going to pop it off that way. So we're just going to scratch the surface here. It'll take me 2 or 3 passes to cut this one. Cut a tiny bit more deeply. Okay, there's cut 1 and cut 2. Did I manage to stay on again? How are we doing with conversation here? I see also, again, looking at this, I forgot to take care of my fingernails again before doing this. I always forget. When I was talking about doing this a few days ago, yesterday, a couple of days ago, one of the girls said, please Dave, remember, cut your fingernails, cut your fingernails. I said, yeah, okay. And I see that I've forgotten again, so I'm sure there'll be comments about this, I'm sorry. It helps, part of it, having a good fingernail here is essential. It's going to support the knife here, but it doesn't have to be so long and ugly. Just, I'm careless, that's all. People sometimes ask in the comments, is it necessary to have such long fingernails to do this carving? And no, of course not, just I'm careless. But yeah, right here, this support, this is helpful. I'm popping up along triangles. I see on some of these the first cut wasn't quite deep enough, so there's some wood left in the channel. We'll come back and take it out in a minute. You want to take a sound? She just broke one of the light bulbs out there, but whatever. Okay. Well, those didn't all come out as cleanly as before. We're getting around the grain now. These ones ran on the grain on a certain direction. These ones are now running on the grain on a totally different direction. I don't know if you can see it. There's lots of wood left inside the hole, which I'll now clean out. The first cuts weren't quite deep enough. It's also not difficult to see where the first cut is, cut number 1. It's almost invisible. I don't know where it is. There it is. Okay. Morning. Be a quiet morning, I think. But it's 1, and I don't think there'll be many people walking out there. It's windy and rainy and breezy. Won't be too many tourists walking around today, I don't think. Oh, it's gone, Sean. Is there another one coming? So. Okay. Morning. Last night, you guys, I went up to the stock room upstairs. I found some prints for the flea market. So there's 2 cases there. They're in the print party room. The usual thing is take them all out of the folders. Some of them are glued in a little bit tightly. But there's extra paper we can cut off, so you'll see. They all need to go in B4 size. Today's group are it's Teko-san and Koizumi-san. Teko-san's been with us for many years, 5-6 years. Koizumi-san's relatively new. He came, I don't know, 3-4 months ago, 5 months ago. Ah, 数で割れちゃった？うん、そっか。
台風が。
どうなんだろう。飾り物として別に飾ってってやるもんだからね。
そうだろうね。ジョーロだ、ジョーロと上がジョーロ。
ああ、そうですね。
多分そうです。
昨日あげたけど。
はい。もう一回、あるか。はい。
Okay, looking good, looking good. Sorry to be so uncommunicative here, but look at that. Looking good. Maybe you can even see the curve, can you? It actually curves down from the top into the... There's a curve now that goes down into this space. When we print these are going to look very, very nice. They're not perfect. You can see something here. What is this? This one around here? Can't get my mirror image right. Here, this one looks a bit funny.
ありがとうございます。あ、2つ。あ、ここにお願いします。サインですか。
キャビンさん、今日いっぱいオークショングッズいっぱい来る。そう。
どうも。
Thank you. ありがとうございます。
楽しみです。
Last night I didn't get anything, but like I said, 2 nights ago I bought over 100 prints.
Were they all small, many small ones, or a couple of big ones?
It's useful stuff. There's going to be 5 of these packages coming today. So for the moment, just leave it.
Okay, just leave them until it all comes out.
Yeah. Couple things. I know we had the scanning yesterday. After you left, Susan came running down. Hey, next scan.
Yeah.
She grabbed the Amazon. I didn't even know this was happening. He opened it and he changed. He's trying to find out what the settings are.
Well, that's okay. I've written down. I know all the settings.
Whatever. So I mean, even how big and what pixels and stuff like that. So I came and I saw what he's doing. I'm saying, so we tried to kill the program without saving. Open it again.
Okay.
But are you saving onto your laptop or onto that computer?
Both locations, so I've got backup.
But I mean, are you scanning onto
directly onto that computer?
That computer. Okay, so the setting should have been just as it was. So he actually should have just opened it and
hit scan.
But we didn't do it. So I told her last night. Don't put one more color on that.
Okay.
Save at least one copy of it.
Yeah, we were just talking.
Yeah, she's here. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So you can recover if you know the settings. You can recover to where we are. So.
I've got them all saved, so I know which dimensions they were. So
we should be able to pick up because I really want that set of prints to have the same
look. Yeah.
Of course. There's a problem. I know. I should have talked to you about before we started. I learned this when you're scanning from 0 to the finished. The old scanner I had, what you do, you did an overview scan first, and that overview scan took the brightest part and the lightest part, found an average, and gave a light balance for it, like our camera does.
Okay.
Here.
Yeah.
And we've got this lock lock
yeah.
exposure on the camera. But what my scanner did was, every time I did an overview scan,
Yeah.
it reset it. So I tried taking a 0 to finish print without doing another overview. The problem was, though, that meant it locked exposure on a white sheet of paper.
Yeah, so it
So
thinks
the
it's a really bright
yes,
image.
Yes. But the benefit was each one, the blue looked exactly the same in each step, but gradually the whole print became darker, darker, darker. But if I did an overview scan for each one, it reset it,
changed
so the
every
blue
time.
would change each time.
Oh,
So I meant to talk to you about this before you started, which one you're going
I've
to
been
do.
checking. They all look
Okay.
very
You know,
consistent.
I'm a real Photoshop expert, which we don't have in this building, because whatever could color balance them all.
Right,
But
right.
anyway, sorry, rambling here. We go get the stream going on. You know.
Oh, yes,
It's
good.
been I've been really not watching these guys at all because I've been carving
Doing
hair.
some very fine
So.
lines.
I think we've done it again. We've explained the concept of all this stuff. With the 5-line business. I'm not going to finish this now this morning because already there's too much excitement going on. I'm just going to have a cup of coffee and leave it. But there we have. We have again done ukiyo-e hair carving. We streamed it live. I'll be clipping parts of this into a YouTube video myself because people are asking me always put more video up about hair carving. The proof will come in two things. One, when we do a test of this just to see how they're looking, and I can adjust each one. But the real proof comes in the real print. Because remember, this is a double hair block.
Right.
These are supposed to be, I should zoom out a bit here. These are supposed to be light hairs. Zoom out even more again. They're supposed to be light hairs with dark hairs exactly on top of them. And whether or not I've managed to pull that off, we won't be able to know until I do the final print. It'll be okay because it's such a small scale, no one will notice. But I'd rather not have fuzziness if they're misaligned.
Yeah.
I'd rather have the exact sharpness. And how that's going to come out,
We'll
no
see.
idea. Anyway, gang, I'm going to sign off. I'll have a chance to try and read the chat here later on when I'm having my lunch, if I can. Depends what kind of day it is. For now, I'm going to sign off. The plan in the upcoming few days. Today's Friday. I do absolutely have to do a sizing stream. I have to do sizing either tomorrow or the day after because the printers need the paper on Monday. So tomorrow's stream might be, perhaps, probably, could be upstairs. Upstairs doing sizing. But who knows? All bets are off. Hey, thanks for watching. Hope this has been interesting. I'm sure it's been useful for somebody somewhere down the road. I'm going to sign off. See you tomorrow, maybe. Bye-bye. Camera off. It did turn out nicely, camera side. I didn't break any of them. Some of them are a bit thin, some are a bit fat. As always, whatever. I'm just, the last time I did this was a year ago. It was like last September, October. The base block for this. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Wow.
More packages. Okay, anyway, off we go. Good, bye-bye. Hot mic off. Stop streaming. Thank you.